Proverbs is so hard to outline because it's 140 different topics and they keep coming and going. But here's a basic outline. God's wisdom is written down. God's wisdom for the young is chapter 1 through 9. God's wisdom for everybody is the rest of the book. Proverbs comes in chunks, okay? It was sent through Solomon. It actually says this. It'll say the Proverbs of Solomon, the Proverbs of Agur, the Proverbs of Lemuel. It even says that Hezekiah's, collected these things. But this is the outline of Proverbs. How do you understand Proverbs? How are we supposed to understand? Well, the first canon, now I'm talking, this is seminary talk, and I taught seminary, and so I sometimes have to get into seminary talk. The first law of understanding the Bible, in other words, to interpret the Bible, the most important thing to find out is, what did God mean when he spoke the original? Now remember, I have told you over and over, and thank you, you that clean my board. I love my marker board, so thank you for washing it off. Otherwise, it's hard to see. God's desires, but Proverbs were God's desires. This was written to a target audience. The first law of textual interpretation is, what did God mean when he spoke the original to the original recipients? Proverbs started out by being David talking to Solomon. Did you know that? That's Solomon talking about what David was telling him. David, you're reading in Proverbs, David talking. By the time you get to chapter 31, most scholars think that is Bathsheba talking. Isn't that interesting in chapter 31 about the virtuous woman? So the first law of textual interpretation is, what did it mean to them? So when you're reading Isaiah next week was not written to us. Isaiah was written to Judah, the southern tribe, as they were facing judgment and destruction. The only way you can understand the Bible is to understand the historic context, the geographic context, the words that God picked, and then you apply biblical hermeneutics. That's the big word for interpretation, okay? So let me show you. I'll do it for you with Proverbs. This is Solomon's kingdom. You see, this is Egypt. This is, the Sinai. This is, a lot of that's modern day Israel, Dead Sea, Sea of Galilee. But look, Solomon had all the way up to the Euphrates River. Solomon was really a successful, of all the Israelite kings. He was almost had the most land mass of all of them. But the reason I'm telling you that is sacred geography, the geography of the Bible, reminds us everything happens somewhere. That's what geography is. Geography is where things happened. Bonnie and I we've been traveling and teaching since, September. We started on this trip. And we started teaching up in Scotland. That was our first week. Then we taught in England. And then we went over. We've been in Europe since September. And what's interesting is, while I was teaching in London, I was showing them that Solomon was working with the Phoenicians. Do you see that yellow bump out there? That's Cyprus. That was the trading hub of the ancient world. And there were ships going like this. And you find out that Solomon is talking about the geography. Also, second, there's sacred history. Bible history is everything happened sometime. That's what history is. When did things happen? Well, look where Proverbs is. The earliest books of the Bible are Genesis and Job. Job probably is the earliest book of the Bible, not chronologically, but when it was written. By the way, Job comments about the Ice Age. Did you know that? He talks about oceans of ice, and he talks about animals we would call dinosaurs. Probably Moses wrote Job to encourage the children of Israel in the Exodus, but Job lived about the time of Abraham. But look where we are, right here. Proverbs is right there. And then look where Isaiah is. And basically, there was King Saul, King David, there's King Solomon, then the kingdom split. This is interesting. This is on the test and quiz for those of you that come alive for those moments. Solomon wrote 3 books, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. Okay, don't look at the board. I'm asking a quiz question. How many books did Solomon write? 3. Very good. He also wrote, look, 2 Psalms. So did Solomon only write Proverbs? No. God used him to write 3 of our books of the Bible. But he didn't put it in the order that we see it. Look at this. It was copied and included later by Judah's king Hezekiah. Chapter 30 reflects, Agur and Lemuel. We don't know. That could be another word for Solomon. But Proverbs was not assembled in the form we have it today until the time of Hezekiah. So look, this is when Solomon wrote all the parts he wrote, which is 1 to 22, 25 to 29. He compiled that center section, and he also wrote the other 2. So just for you to see, there's about a 200-year spread. And of course, here is where Israel falls to the Babylonians.